And we're back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, my people. You know that it helps us out a ton. And of course, it helps you because it helps us keep bringing you these stories every day. Now, y'all, your girl, Letitia James, you know that Donald Trump, he's made no bones about it. He has not tried to hide it. He has broadcast it to the entire universe. He says Letitia James is a crook and that she should face criminal prosecution. Now, we all know by now that Sam Antar, he published on X and on his website, White Collar Crime, he published documentation that seems to indicate Letitia James may have committed mortgage fraud, not once, not twice, but multiple times in her life. And she is currently the Attorney General of the state of New York. She has gone after Donald Trump. She has won a huge judgment against him. That judgment was later overturned on appeal, but she is one of his top oppositions, and Trump undoubtedly, and he's even said so, he wants to see her go down for the crimes that she's committed. And so now that Trump is in office and he is the head of the government, it would seem like, might be possible for him to get his way and at least see a Letitia James prosecution. But turns out it's not as easy as he would have thought, or that I would have thought. I have gone on record as saying I think that he's going to get his prosecution, that he's going to get his arrest, that he's going to get his trial of Letitia James. And it turns out there was a U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia who reviewed the file, decided that there's not enough evidence to charge Letitia James, and Donald Trump fired him or made him resign, whichever way you want to look at it, who he replaced that person with. But for now, there's another person reviewing the file, and it looks like she might also feel there is not enough evidence. So things are getting spicy, y'all. Let's go ahead and take a look. But before we do, y'all, make sure you take care of your money. I'm not going to make this a long one, y'all. Go to Paralegold, PARALEGOLD.com, or call 844-651-8334, 844-651-8334. If you have $50,000 to $100,000 or more in your retirement, protected from inflation, protected from monetary debasement, you're about to retire. Make sure your money's still there and it's still worth something by investing at least some of it in gold. Talk to our partners at Augusta Precious Metals. Go click the link now, get the free information, and protect your precious retirement.
Frequently attacked and maligned and feared, disliked by Donald Trump, the New York Attorney General Letitia James. The New York AG brought a successful civil suit against Trump and his businesses, with the judge last year finding that Trump and his company knowingly committed fraud for years. Trump has maintained her case was a politically motivated attack against him. This May, an ally of Donald Trump's accused James of mortgage fraud, the same claim that has been made against other perceived enemies of Donald Trump. But now, according to new reporting by MSNBC, we're learning this, quote, a top prosecutor in Virginia has informed colleagues that she plans to decline to seek charges against New York Attorney General Tish James, resisting intense pressure from President Donald Trump. That's according to two people familiar with her discussions. Elizabeth Yusi, who oversees major criminal prosecutions in the Norfolk office of the Eastern District of Virginia, has confided to coworkers that she sees no probable cause to believe that James engaged in mortgage fraud, the two sources told MSNBC. Yusi plans to present her conclusions to the president's new acting U.S. attorney, Lindsey Halligan, in the coming weeks, they said. Halligan, keep in mind, is new to her position because her predecessor, Erik Siebert, followed a similar path. He resigned after he refused to bow to Trump's pressure campaign to criminally indict Jim Comey.
Here, MSNBC says top prosecutor is rejecting Trump pressure to charge New York AG. A top prosecutor in Virginia has informed colleagues she plans to decline to seek charges against New York Attorney General Letitia James, resisting intense pressure from President Donald Trump, according to two people familiar with her discussions. Elizabeth Yusi, who oversees major criminal prosecutions in the Norfolk office of the Eastern District of Virginia, has confided to coworkers that she sees no probable cause to believe that James engaged in mortgage fraud, the two sources told MSNBC. Yusi plans to present her conclusion to the president's new interim U.S. attorney, Lindsey Halligan, in the coming weeks, they said. Now, we're going to get into Lindsey Halligan and her appointment at the end of this video. I wonder why it would take several weeks for her to say that. She's already telling her friends it's in the news. She's going to wait around to tell Lindsey Halligan for weeks? Doesn't seem right. Trump installed Halligan after he announced 2 weeks ago that he would fire the first acting U.S. attorney he appointed to the post, Erik Siebert, who resisted seeking mortgage fraud charges against James and other charges against former FBI Director James Comey. Siebert resigned September 19th after learning he would lose his job.
Well, what we heard, Nicole, over the last couple of, days and hours is that a prosecutor who's a supervisor had a job like Mary McCord's was many years ago, overseeing criminal prosecutions for her U.S. Attorney's Office. She concluded that there's just not probable cause to bring the case of mortgage fraud or bank fraud or any kind of fraud against Letitia James based on the documentation and the evidence before her. We're also hearing that in the grand jury, material has been brought forward, witnesses have been asked questions, and her conclusion is the same as Erik Siebert, her former boss, the U.S. Attorney of the Eastern District, who said there's just not a sufficient basis to bring this case.
So y'all, something stood out to me that it just jumped out to me now watching all this unfold. Donald Trump, let's say he's taking on Letitia James and she's taking him on, right? She's taking him on and he's taking her on, but they have two distinctly different roles in the government. He cannot just unilaterally throw her in jail or prison. He can't do it. She cannot unilaterally throw him in jail or prison. But she has the power to enter him. She single-handedly can enter Donald Trump into a legal situation where his life, liberty, and property is on the line because she's a prosecutor. She can put charges on him. She can literally just say, yo, you're charged. Now, is it that simple? No. But that's her role in society. Her role in society is to put people into the legal system, to accuse them, legally speaking, and to put them into a position where they have to defend themselves, or they could lose property, or they could lose liberty, or they could even lose their life. Donald Trump, his role in society as it relates to United States civil society, or, outside of war powers and that sort of thing, his role is not to put you on trial. So she, in that sense, has the ability to do to him what he can't just easily do to her. And now you're seeing it. You're seeing that he cannot simply put her on trial. While she can, more or less, there's processes, I get it, but she can more or less put him on trial. So they even though he's the president, in this area, in this sphere of influence, they're not equal. Do y'all see how that works?
And Nicole, I want to emphasize something for people at home who aren't lawyers or don't follow this the way you and I do. It is a prosecutor's job and almost their solemn vow to bring cases where they believe they have a very high likelihood of sustaining and convicting on the charges they bring. And in this instance now, multiple people have concluded. Career prosecutors, supervisors, Trump appointees have said, we don't have a basis to do this.
So now Donald Trump's in a position where if this report is true, we don't know, right? This could just be one of those things that they put out there as misdirection or whatever. But if this report is true, he might be in a position where he has to get rid of another prosecutor in order to try to get this prosecutor, which is Letitia James, prosecuted. You see, he might have to fire a second prosecutor to prosecute the prosecutor. Now, who is ultimately in control of this domain? Her name is Lindsey Halligan. I'm going to loop in our report on her. She took over after the previous guy that he either fired or pushed out, whichever way you want to believe it happened. She took over after he left, and now it's kind of up to her. So let's take a look at her.
Thanks, Caroline. But the case against Letitia James was extensively investigated for 5 months, and President Trump's handpicked Attorney General Erik Siebert could not find any evidence that he committed a crime. So is the president saying here it doesn't matter if there's a crime, he just wants his political enemies to be charged?
Well, let me just walk you through Letitia James. Letitia James completely abused her oath of office. Letitia James was actively and openly engaged in lawfare. You talk about weaponizing the Department of Justice. What was Letitia James's campaign slogan? It was prosecute Donald Trump. She was saying she was going to prosecute Donald Trump before she even knew if Donald Trump committed a crime, which of course we did not. Those are not the words of a serious prosecutor. Those are the words of a corrupt politician who is abusing their power. She actively campaigned on that. She also led the witch hunt, the financial fraud investigation against President Trump and the Trump Organization, and an appeals court tossed that case out, a $500 million civil fraud penalty in August, which was another win for the president, and exonerated him of this witch hunt and showed that this is an individual who is corrupt and abused her oath of office. And we also have evidence of her mortgage fraud. An April report from a white-collar fraud investigator found that there was documented evidence that James engaged in a consistent pattern of financial and property disclosures that raise serious legal questions.
But why won't the president accept the conclusions of his Justice Department to not bring charges against Letitia James? In fact, you had Bondi and Blanche top DOJ leadership who were against ousting Erik Siebert, who again was picked by President Trump.
I just answered that question for you, and the president has every right to express how he feels about these people who literally campaigned on trying to put him in jail, who literally tried to ruin his life and ruin his businesses, and he wants to see accountability for those who abuse their office and abuse their power. And Letitia James absolutely did that, whether you want to admit it or not.
Is that not retribution, though?
Jeff, it's accountability.
So there you see Caroline Levitt saying, yeah, she deserves to be prosecuted. And now here's the news that, it looks like not only is Letitia James going to be prosecuted, but it looks like Comey is about to be prosecuted as well. So there's a twofer. Let's go ahead and jump into this story.
Of course, we don't know everything that the grand jury is contemplating. And in fact, I should say, Katie, this is a fluid situation. This could change. We are being told this by 3 sources that an indictment of Comey is expected in the coming days. They're also saying that this same office is expected to charge Tish James, the New York Attorney General, with mortgage fraud. And of course, Donald Trump, we all saw it posted on Truth Social in recent days, exhorting his Attorney General to charge both of those people as soon as possible. Again, this is, grand juries are secret. This is a fluid situation. It's also important to know, though, that the U.S. attorney, the Trump-appointed U.S. attorney in this office, Erik Siebert, was essentially forced out last week, in part because he was refusing to bring these cases. We're told that he was opposed to to prosecuting both James and Comey on these grounds, and he's out now. And the new U.S. attorney is a former Donald Trump defense lawyer who's never prosecuted a case.
So I'm going to go ahead and loop into this video that's going to show you who Donald Trump's new prosecutor is. She's a loyalist to him, and I guess she's ready to go after these people who Donald Trump says have broken the law. Let's take a look. So the latest is that the president, Donald Trump, has essentially forced out the U.S. attorney for, I think it's the Eastern District of Virginia. His office is responsible for looking into the Letitia James mortgage fraud scandal and determining if they could put charges or what have you. And apparently he said he didn't find enough evidence. Donald Trump basically fired him. He kicked him out. He said, get out of here. So we're going to take a look at that, and then we're going to take a look at his replacement. You're seeing her on the screen right now. So we're going to get a little bit of information about her. So this is going to be the new person once she's confirmed. She's going to be the new person who is going to be responsible for going after Letitia James. So it's going to be a battle between these two ladies. So first of all, let's take a look at how Donald Trump kicked out, well, I guess former, as of yesterday, kicked out the former U.S. attorney. Then we'll get some information about the new person coming in, the new U.S. prosecutor who you're seeing on your screen. And finally, y'all, we're going to take a look at this wild post that Donald Trump put on social media to Pam Bondi, y'all. Just wild. We're going to take a look at that last. But first, let's go ahead and hop into Donald Trump forcing the current U.S. attorney out of the job.
This morning, a top federal prosecutor resigning following an extraordinary pressure campaign from President Trump. The president furious he was unable to find enough evidence to bring criminal charges against one of his political opponents. Erik Siebert, Trump's handpicked U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, spent 5 months investigating New York Attorney General Letitia James over accusations she committed mortgage fraud.
I am not following it very closely. It looks to me like she's very guilty of something.
But after speaking to more than a dozen witnesses and pouring through loan documents, investigators came up empty, unable to find evidence that James knowingly falsified records to obtain better loan terms. Trump claims he ousted Siebert because he was supported by Virginia's 2 Democratic senators. But sources tell ABC News Trump has told top administration officials he wants to install someone who will prosecute James. ABC's Jonathan Karl pressing the president.
So you want him fired? You want him out?
Yeah, I want him out, yeah.
James has denied any wrongdoing, and in a statement to ABC News, her lawyers saying Siebert's ouster is a, quote, brazen attack on the rule of law.
All right, y'all. So there you have it. So now let's see who's going to be his replacement. Here it says Trump nominates White House aide to be top prosecutor for office probing Letitia James. President Donald Trump said Saturday that he would be nominating senior White House aide Lindsey Halligan to serve as the top federal prosecutor for the Virginia office that was thrown into turmoil when its U.S. attorney was pushed out Friday. In a social media post just after he departed the White House for an event at Mount Vernon, Trump wrote he was nominating Halligan as U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, writing that she will be, quote, fair, smart, and will provide desperately needed justice for all, quote. The announcement came as Trump pressed Attorney General Pam Bondi to move forward with pursuing cases against some of his political opponents, part of a vow for retribution that has been a theme of his return to the White House. We're going to take a look at that here shortly. The nomination would place one of the president's legal defenders in charge of an office in tumult over political pressure by administration officials to criminally charge New York Attorney General Letitia James, a longtime foe of Trump, in a mortgage fraud investigation. All right, y'all. So yeah, y'all, taking on a prosecutor might be a little bit more difficult than you would have expected. They can prosecute you, but you can't easily prosecute them, I guess. So y'all, let me know down in the comments. I've gone on the record. I've said I think she gets charged. I think she gets indicted. I think she gets arrested. Ooh, that prediction is being stretched. Now, again, I never said I want these things to happen. I know a lot of my viewers want these things to happen. I predicted it more from a Donald Trump wants it to happen, so it's going to happen. But it looks like it's going to be harder than we would have thought. So let me know down in the comments, what do you think will happen? Do you think he gets his prosecution of Letitia James, or do you think, nah, it looks like it's going to be too tough? Drop a comment down below, but before you do, y'all, please stop, hit the share button, share this video out over email, text message, WhatsApp, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all your favorite social mediums. And of course, if you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. To my people with a retirement, go down, click the first link in the description, Paralegold, PARALEGOLD.com. Protect your retirement from the upsies, downsies, roundsies, and the roundsies. And speak to our partners at Augusta Precious Metals at 844-651-8334. Thank y'all for watching. Love y'all, and we'll see you back in the next one.